Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here and welcome to episode 25 of Gold Goes to the Movies. Not such the bumper episode as last week's when we had, 11 movies? This is just a quick fire for a quick quartet of movies. 2 at the cinema, 2 off of Amazon as well, including one very much blast from the past that I didn't even know existed. So I've got for you Wicked for Good, Predator Badlands, Playdate, and the blast from the past is Delirious, which I'd never heard of. An old John Candy film which popped up on my algorithm, and I did not say no. So let's start off with Wicked for Good. Flying back into the cinema, as it were, on its broomstick. Part 2 of the John M. Chu directed Wizard of Oz prequel of sorts. It's different. It's complicated, as we'll discuss. The first, of course, which came out a year ago or so, made $759 million at the box office. They split it across 2 films, and as I said last year, absolutely loved the first movie. It was a real surprise for me in a way because I've never seen Wicked the musical or read the book it's loosely based on, or the original books that the whole world came from of Oz. So I guess I was coming in from quite with fresh eyes into that first film, and it was great. It was funny, colourful, songs were catchy. The look of the movie was just brilliant. I thought Ariana Grande was superb in this really kind of layered comic role as Glinda, the Good Witch. Cynthia Erivo just, matched a note for note and was phenomenal as Elphaba, who would become the Wicked Witch. And you might remember if you watched the video when I reviewed that film, I loved Wizard of Oz as a kid. It was one of my favourite movies. I just probably watched it 1,000 times at least, just on a loop at times as a kid. I was also in the smaller crowd that enjoyed Return to Oz, which was far darker, far scarier movie, and nothing really like Wizard of Oz in any kind of way. But I was someone that watched that quite a bit. I do wonder whether my love for the original movie and my lack of kind of knowledge of the musical and the books maybe played its part in me disconnecting a little bit with this second movie, Wicked for Good, as it wore on. I would say I quite enjoyed the first half of it. It kind of follows on roughly a little while later after the events of the first movie. And it delves into some interesting films. It's much darker than the first movie because of where the plot has to go. I think the issue for me arose when it had to start trying to weave in the elements of The Wizard of Oz, because it is in the musical as well in the movie. It not only takes place before, but it also has to kind of take place around those events. And I just didn't like it. I didn't. I felt there were too many moments that for me, as a huge fan of the original 1939 movie, didn't make any sense to me. They didn't fit in with what I remember, and maybe it's just a personal thing. I think probably that is where the problem lies for me. I get the impression that from those who love the musical and the books that this is probably closer to that than it is the 1939 movie. And I've seen certain people saying you should actually discount the 1939 movie because this isn't really about that. And that's maybe where my problem lies with this, because while the musical is hugely popular around the world, The Wizard of Oz, the 1939 film, is even more popular. That is the go-to memory that people will have when they come to watch anything that is to do with the world of Oz. They will think of the Judy Garland movie. Of course they will. So I think there will be a lot of people like me that will know that movie inside out, and they won't know exactly what happens in the musical. So I feel like if you're making a movie for today's audience, I think it has to take that into account rather than being something purely maybe to please those who love the musical. And I just felt like if you're discounting what happens in the musical, I guess which you shouldn't. Look, let's put it the other way. If you're focusing on what happens in the original Wizard of Oz, there are moments in this film, Wicked for Good, where you'll be like, huh? No, don't do that kind of thing. And I think that's what it is. Maybe there's an element of messing around with something that we loved as kids and having it kind of picked apart in a certain way and changed in certain ways. I don't mind there being different kind of viewpoints from different characters, that's absolutely fine. But in some instances, how do I put this? I don't want to spoil anything because these are spoiler-free movie reviews. I think the most I can say that are certain characters that we will know from the original film are completely changed for me in the way they act and things like that. And you'll see it. I think it's better that you make up your own mind if you're going to see it. And yeah, there's a lot that doesn't really fit for me in probably the final half an hour or so of the movie, which just kind of left me feeling a little bit, disconnected and cold towards it at the end. And it's not to say that, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are not brilliant in it. They're very good again. I think my main issue is that the first film was such great fun. And this one, I guess, was never going to be, because it is a darker kind of second act to it all. But I felt it lost something by not having that. Whether it could have been, I know it is beholden to being close to the musical, but I kind of felt it just wasn't as an enjoyable experience for that. And for example, Ariana Grande in the first film, as I said, showed that really good comedic range. In this, there was none to it. And I loved the fact that her character had these kind of different elements to her. And the acting is good, but it's just not enjoyable in the same sense. And I felt there's an excellent supporting cast, which were used really well in the first film. Whereas mainly this film is about the two leads, the two leading ladies. And for example, in this film, there are songs with Jeff Goldblum and Jonathan Bailey, which are really good, especially Jeff Goldblum's one is just terrific. And it kind of makes you yearn for having more of them in the story. But of course, as I said, this movie is beholden to what happens in the musical and its plot, and it has to follow that path. And I think on the subject of the music, I think apart from 2 or 3 songs, the music isn't as memorable in this film. There aren't many you're going to come away with kind of tapping your toe to or singing kind of in your car as you're driving. And from what I'm told, that's a criticism of the musical itself as well, that after the interval, there's not so many songs that are great in the second half. And maybe even with a couple of new songs that the composer Stephen Schwartz put into this film, it isn't as memorable in terms of there are a couple of songs that are really nice, but on the whole, it's not as great song into great song into great song, that kind of thing. And I'm sure it'll do very well at the box office. It started pretty well. I think a lot of people want to see what happens. I'll be stunned if there's not 1 or 2 more movies that come from that universe, because it is going to be a moneymaker for Universal. But I'm intrigued to see how the younger audience take to this film. I felt like the first one was a real family film. You could take probably everyone to go and see. And this one, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know whether it will be as enthralling or as enjoyable for younger members of the family. It'd be interesting to know. I haven't actually. I should have spoken to people with younger kids and see what they know. Let me know in the comments if you've taken younger kids to see it, what they made of this one compared to the first one. They may well love it because it's a continuation of characters that they've kind of loved from the first film. But look, it's made $223 million in its first weekend globally. Domestic figures, I think, are a little bit below the estimates of what they were thinking was going to come in. But actually, the way it worked, Universal spent around $550 million as a total on the production and marketing of these 2 movies, because they filmed it back to back. So I think splitting them into 2 movies has massively paid off for them in terms of the profit they're going to make from this. So yeah, like I say, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. It just didn't live up to the first for me. I didn't get the same set. I came out of the first one. Obviously, the first one ends on this incredible high with an incredible song, incredible note or series of notes. And it just took me back to being a kid again and watching Wizard of Oz. Whereas this film, it didn't. It took me away from that experience. And maybe that's why I didn't like it as much. And like I said, I think there'll be a lot of people that love the musical that will no doubt love this as well. We went as a family and there were very split opinions. We had 2 of us didn't like it. 1 thought it was okay and 1 loved it. So that may well be how kind of families kind of take to this. So the second movie, which also has a colon in the title, in this bunch, is Predator Badlands, which is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did the excellent Prey, as well as the animated movie Predator Killer of Killers. I love the fact we've gone from Oz to the world of Predator. It's It's written by Patrick Azon, who wrote Prey, and it's from a story by Trachtenberg and Azon together. It's technically the 7th Predator movie. It takes a big leap forward in a different direction in that it is kind of humanising these creatures, the predators, which are known as the Yucha. Little trivia for you, did you know Jean-Claude Van Damme was cast as the original Predator? I didn't actually know that until this week, so I was looking up some stuff about Predator. He was cast to be in the movie, and then I think they started to put him alongside or envisioned him alongside these big hulking people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, I think wasn't he in the first one as well? And he just didn't. He needed to be big and imposing as a Predator, so he was replaced by Kevin Peter Hall, was 7'2", and obviously the movie kind of entered its place in history. And this new movie, it delves deep into the culture of the Yucha. It circles and centres around Dek, who is a young Yucha who's trying to kill this unkillable beast in order to finally be accepted by his quite horrendous father, to be honest, and the clan that he comes from. And yeah, Dek is played by this New Zealand stuntman called Demetrius Schuster Kolomantangi. I think it is. He'd written this down. He learnt the Yucha language for the role, which is pretty impressive in itself. And he heads off to this planet full of things that want to eat him in search of this unkillable creature. And he teams up with Thea, who is a damaged, wait for it, Wayland Yutani Corporation android. Yes, the company from Alien. She's played by Elle Fanning, who has a lot to do in this movie. I'm not going to say why, but she's got a lot to do in this film. And you know what? It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. It's not the pinnacle of cinema. It's not the greatest thing you'll ever see. It can be a little bit daft at times. But do you know what? It's got a surprising amount of heart for a Predator movie and a 7th in a franchise as well. I would actually say, yeah, there's quite a little bit of... I think sometimes when you strip away everything from a story, just make it quite simple about these two characters essentially on a mission together, trying to kind of, one of them is in, how do I put this? A difficult moment in their life. And yeah, it does. It has this kind of little bit of a emotion running through the middle of it. And it's well made. The action scenes are great. There's lots of good kind of creatures that he comes up with. It's a little bit like, you know, in the in King Kong, when the characters are going through Skull Island, there's all these various things that want to kill them and stuff, and it's got that vibe about it. And it's interesting to have, I think, the Predator as the protagonist rather than the antagonist, and I did like that. It felt quite fresh, and I felt Fanning brought this kind of light touch to what would otherwise be maybe a straightforward action movie. I think she really helped the film, and it's done well. It's made almost, I think, $160 million at the box office of a $100 million budget. And I think it will do really well on streaming through word of mouth. I think more people will watch it. And I think we should likely to get another Trachtenberg Predator movie. He's reportedly been trying to get Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the role. Was it Dutch he was called in the Predator film? So yeah, it's good fun. If you like the original films, especially Predator and Predator 2, you should like this. It's, you know, there were some kind of iffy movies in the middle, weren't there, where they started to do all the crossover stuff. This one for me, a little bit like Prey, strips it back, and it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it. I would probably say I came out of the cinema with a better feeling from that than I did from Wicked for Good, which is strange, but I just did. I think it ended well. It did well. It sets up other potential stuff in that universe, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Next film I didn't enjoy so much, and I don't think many people will, is Playdate, which is on Amazon. It should have worked for me. It's got Kevin James, who I used to love watching King of Queens and Grown Ups movie with Adam Sandler. It's got Alan Ritchson from Reacher, which I love as well. Both can be funny guys. Alan Ritchson, we know, can play great action as well. It's just the wrong vehicle for them. It is. They kind of make Kevin James the straight guy in this, and Ritchson the funny one. It kind of leans into, he was in this TV show years back, Blue Mountain State, and it kind of leans into the silliness that he could kind of portray in that show. He probably comes out of it all, this mess, the best, because it does show this little bit of range he's got. He can handle the action, and he can be a little bit goofy and silly as well. but it just doesn't work as a whole. It's very messy. There's the odd little giggle. Essentially, it's his two dads and their sons on a play date that goes horribly wrong. They're targeted by mercenaries and they have to get out of it. The action is daft, not particularly well handled, very chaotic. Funny enough, it's directed by Luke Greenfield, who way back in 2004 did The Girl Next Door, Let's Be Cops 10 years later as well, which I liked both of those. I did not like this. Which is a shame because we put it on as a Saturday night movie and it seemed like an easy win with the people involved. It was anything but an easy win. It felt like very much a TV movie. It felt like a small budget movie that was kind of trying to be portrayed as something else. And yeah, I wouldn't bother. Unless there's nothing else on and you're kind of thinking, it can't be that bad, you probably will find that it is. Last up is the movie that the good old algorithm on Amazon said, watch this before it leaves us. And it was Delirious, a John Candy movie from 1991, which I'd never heard of. And I love John Candy stuff. For some reason, that one completely slipped me by. I would have been quite young when it came out, but I don't remember kind of catching it on stuff after. It's essentially the story of a soap opera writer who hits his head and then finds himself within his own show. And he can write whatever comes next for him and the characters around him. It should be a win for someone like John Candy. And he is quite sweet in the central role. And personally, it was lovely to find new footage of John Candy in something. For me, I know other people may well have watched this. It's just a shame as a whole, again, it's just not very good film. It's got Mariel Hemingway in it, who I'll always remember from Superman 4. Was that The Quest for Peace, wasn't it? And actually, it's directed by Tom Mankiewicz, who did Dragnet, which I liked, with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd. He actually wrote a few Bond films, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun as well. He did not write this, and maybe it's poorer for that, because the script isn't very good, and it is very much John Candy trying to hold it all together. But it was a failure for him at the box office and with critics, and unfortunately died. Was it 3 years? It was 1994, I think he died. It's a shame. But it was just, I think that's what I took from it. It was just nice to see a little bit more of him that I hadn't seen before, because it's done so many wonderful movies he did, didn't he, over the years. That's the last of this little quartet. Just the four. Up later this week, we've got Christie, the boxing biopic, Sydney Sweeney's one, which has not done well in the UK. Then the trailer before Predator today of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Eternity with Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. We've got the Scarlett Johansson directed Eleanor the Great coming out as well. Then we kind of go into a bit of the Christmas blockbuster time when we've got Avatar Fire and Ash, which also had the trailer for today, December 19th. The new take on Anaconda with Paul Rudd and Jack Black. And Timothy Chalamet's Marty Supreme. They're all kind of towards the end of the year. So lots of movies coming out. And I'm sure I shall hopefully get out another one of these maybe before the year is out. And please do recommend me stuff to watch. It may well be that I've seen them, but if I haven't, I will be right on it. There's so many movies out there that I'm sure I haven't seen. And any new streaming ones as well, I'll keep an eye out for. So there you go. That's the bunch. Just a small one this week. Let me know what you thought of any of those movies you've watched. And like I said, let me know of any other stuff I should be watching. That's it. As always, stay healthy, stay safe, look after yourselves. And most of all, keep watching those movies. Goodbye.